You are 7 days old. Your father holds you at arm's length, studying your limbs, your cry, the way your tiny fists clench against the cold mountain air. He is not looking at you with love, not yet. In Sparta, love is earned, not given. He carries you up the stone steps of the Gerousia, where old men with scars like canyon walls examine you under torchlight. They check your spine, your legs. They listen to your lungs. One infant this week was already thrown from the cliffs of Mount Taygetus because his foot turned inward. You do not know this yet. You do not know that you are not a child, you are a test. And if you fail, your mother will never speak your name again. What you're about to hear is not a story of heroes. It's a story of survival, of what human beings can endure when they have no choice. If you appreciate stories like this, stories that strip away the myth and show you the raw truth of history, then you've found the right place. This is not nostalgic history. Make sure you're subscribed, because what comes next will show you exactly how much Sparta demanded from the boys who became its warriors. And it demanded everything. The elders run their calloused fingers along your ribs. They are counting, measuring. One of them presses his thumb against your chest to feel the strength of your heartbeat. Another holds you upside down to see if you cry out, to see if your lungs can handle the pressure, the shock, the indignity of it. This is not cruelty for cruelty's sake. This is Sparta. This is survival. In a city-state surrounded by enemies, where every male will be expected to hold the phalanx line or die trying, weakness is not a personal failing. It is a threat to everyone. Your mother waits outside in the dark. She has already lost 2 children this way. One had a cleft lip. Another was too small, his bones too fragile, and the elders said he would never carry a shield. She held them for 7 days each, just long enough to feel the weight of them, the warmth, just long enough to break her heart twice. Now she stands in the cold with her hands pressed to her stomach, and she does not pray. Spartan women do not beg the gods for mercy. They ask for strength. They ask for sons who can survive what is coming. Inside, the elders nod. You have passed. Your father takes you back, and for the first time something softens in his eyes. Not relief, not joy, recognition. You are not his son yet, but you might be. He carries you home through the narrow stone streets of Sparta, past the barracks where older boys are already sleeping on reeds, past the training grounds where blood still stains the sand from the afternoon's drills. He whispers your name into the night, testing how it sounds. In 7 years you will leave this home. In 7 years you will belong to Sparta. But tonight, for this one moment, you are still his. Your mother takes you into her arms and breathes you in. She knows what is coming. Every Spartan mother knows. She will have 7 years to prepare you, to make you strong enough, hard enough, resilient enough to survive the Agoge. 7 years to turn a baby into something that can endure starvation, beatings, cold and pain without breaking. She will not coddle you. She will not soften the world for you, because the world will not be soft. And Sparta does not forgive weakness. You are 3 years old, and your mother has stopped feeding you when you cry. You learn quickly that tears bring nothing, no comfort, no food, no warmth. You learn to swallow the sound, to bury it somewhere deep inside where it cannot escape. When you fall and scrape your knee on the stone floor, she watches you. She does not move. You look up at her, and her face is a mask. You stop crying. You stand up. She nods. This is your first lesson. Pain is not an emergency. Pain is information. You are 5, and your father takes you to watch the older boys train. They are 10, 11, 12 years old, and they fight each other with wooden swords until their hands bleed. One boy takes a strike to the face and falls to his knees, spitting blood into the dust. He does not cry. He stands back up. Your father leans down and says, "That will be you soon." You do not understand yet what he means. You think he means the training. You do not realize he means the blood. You are 6, and your mother makes you sleep outside. It is winter, and the mountain wind cuts through the valley like a blade. You have one thin blanket. You curl into yourself, shivering so hard your teeth crack together, and you think about going back inside. But you do not. Because you know she is watching from the window. You know this is another test. In Sparta, there are always tests. You survive the night. In the morning, she lets you back in and gives you warm bread. She almost smiles. You are 7, and your childhood ends. They come for you at dawn. Your father wakes you with a hand on your shoulder, and his grip is firm, final. He does not say goodbye. Spartan fathers do not say goodbye. They say, "Return with your shield," or "on it." But you are only 7, and you do not have a shield yet, so he says nothing at all. He simply walks you to the edge of the city, where other boys your age stand in a row, silent and wide-eyed, and he hands you over to the paidonomos, the instructor who will own you for the next 13 years. Your mother is not there. Spartan women do not watch their sons leave. They have already said their farewells in the dark, in the quiet moments before dawn, with hands pressed to small faces and words whispered that no one else will ever hear. She told you to be strong. She told you to survive. She told you that she would be waiting, and that when you returned, you would be a man. She did not cry. Spartan women do not cry, not where anyone can see. The paidonomos looks at you the way the elders looked at you when you were 7 days old. He is measuring you, calculating. You and the other boys are sorted into groups, into agila, the packs that will define your existence for years to come. You do not choose your pack. It chooses you, or rather, Sparta chooses for you. You are assigned an Irene, an older boy who will be responsible for your training, your discipline, your survival. He is 16. His face is a map of scars. He looks at you like you are meat. You are marched to the barracks. It is a long, low building made of stone, with no windows and a dirt floor covered in reeds. This is where you will sleep. Not in a bed, not on cloth. On the ground with reeds you will gather yourself from the river. If you want them soft, you will tear them with your bare hands until your fingers bleed. If you want to be warm, you will sleep closer to the other boys, packed tight like wolves. There are no fires, there are no blankets, there is only the cold and the dark and the sound of breathing. The Irene stands at the center of the room and waits until every boy is silent. Then he speaks. His voice is low, flat, without emotion. You are not children anymore. You are not sons. You are property of Sparta. You will train. You will suffer. You will obey. And if you are weak, you will die. No one will mourn you. No one will remember your name. Do you understand? You do not answer. None of you do. You are 7 years old and you are terrified. He smiles. It is not a kind smile. Good, he says. Fear will keep you alive for a while. You do not sleep. None of the boys sleep. You lie on the reeds, staring up at the dark ceiling, listening to the sound of someone crying in the corner. It is quiet crying, the kind that tries to hide itself, but in the silence of the barracks, every sob is a scream. You wonder if it is shameful to cry. You wonder if the Irene can hear. You wonder what will happen to the boy who cannot stop. In the morning you find out. The Irene drags him into the center of the room by his hair. The boy is small, younger looking than the rest of you, and his face is swollen from crying. The Irene does not yell. He does not lecture. He simply beats the boy with a wooden rod until the crying stops. Not because the boy has learned his lesson, because he has passed out. The Irene drops him to the floor and looks at the rest of you. Weakness is contagious, he says. If you see it in yourself, cut it out. If you see it in another, report it. Sparta does not tolerate rot. The boy wakes up an hour later. He does not cry again. You learn that tears are a language Sparta does not speak. You learn that pain is the only dialect that matters. You learn that your body is no longer yours. It belongs to the state, to the city, to the phalanx that will one day depend on you to hold the line. And if you cannot hold it, you are worse than dead. You are a liability. You are always hungry. This is not an accident. This is the design. The Agoge does not feed you enough. You are given one small meal a day, a thin broth made from barley and blood, and it is never, ever enough. Your stomach cramps. Your ribs begin to show. You wake in the night with hunger pains so sharp you double over, gasping, and you learn to breathe through them the way you learn to breathe through cold, through fear, through everything else that tries to break you. But hunger is different. Hunger is a living thing. It claws at you from the inside. It whispers. It begs. And Sparta knows this. Sparta wants you hungry, because hunger teaches you to hunt. Hunger teaches you to steal. Hunger teaches you that the world will not provide, and so you must take. You are encouraged to steal food, not from each other, from the city, from the farms, from the helots who work the fields and tend the crops. You are told that if you can steal without being caught, you are clever. You are resourceful. You are a credit to Sparta. But if you are caught, you will be beaten, not for stealing, for being caught. The crime is not the theft. The crime is the failure. You and two other boys sneak out of the barracks one night, moving through the dark streets like shadows. You have been watching a farmhouse on the edge of the city for days, learning the rhythms of the family inside, the movements of the helot who guards the storehouse. Tonight the moon is dark. Tonight you are invisible. You slip through the fence into the storehouse, and your hands find a round of cheese, hard and heavy and real. Your mouth waters. You want to eat it right there, to tear into it with your teeth, but you do not. You tuck it under your tunic and run. You make it halfway back to the barracks before you hear the shout. The helot has seen you. He is running, calling for help, and you are 7 years old and your legs are too short and your lungs are burning. You run faster. You hear footsteps behind you, gaining, and you think about dropping the cheese. About leaving it behind, but you do not, because that would be failure. That would be weakness. You run until your vision blurs, until your chest feels like it will explode, and you throw yourself through the doorway of the barracks just as the helot reaches the threshold. He stops. He cannot enter. This is Spartan ground. He stares at you, chest heaving, and you stare back. You are still holding the cheese. You did not drop it. You did not fail. The Irene appears in the doorway. He looks at the helot. He looks at you. He does not smile, but he nods. You have earned the right to eat tonight. You are 8, and they begin to teach you how to fight. Not with swords. Not yet. With your hands. With your feet. With your teeth if you have to. You are paired with another boy your size, and you are told to hurt him. Not to win. Not to score points. To hurt him. To make him submit. To break something inside him that will stay broken. You hesitate. The boy across from you is someone you sleep next to. Someone you stole food with. Someone whose name you know. The Irene sees your hesitation. He strikes you across the face with the back of his hand, and your head snaps to the side, and you taste blood. Again, he says. You look at the boy. He looks at you, and then you both understand. This is not about friendship. This is not about mercy. This is about survival. You lunge. He lunges. You collide in the center of the ring, fists and elbows and knees, and you do not stop until one of you cannot stand. It is him. He lies in the dust, gasping, and you stand over him and you feel nothing. Not pride, not guilt, nothing. You have learned to turn off the part of you that feels. Because feeling is a weakness, and Sparta does not tolerate weakness. The fights continue. Every day. Sometimes twice a day. You learn to read a body, to see the shift in weight before a punch, the tensing of a shoulder before a tackle. You learn to take a hit and keep moving. You learn that pain is temporary, but defeat is permanent. You learn that your body can endure far more than you thought possible. A broken nose, a dislocated finger, cracked ribs. These are not injuries, these are lessons. One boy refuses to fight. He is 9, and he is tired, and he is broken, and when the Irene tells him to stand, he does not. He simply sits in the dust and shakes his head. The Irene does not argue. He does not try to motivate him. He simply beats him in front of everyone until the boy stops moving. Then he drags him out of the barracks. You never see him again. No one asks what happened to him. You already know. You are 9, and it is winter, and you are colder than you have ever been in your life. The barracks are not heated. The reeds do not keep you warm. You sleep in a pile with the other boys, pressed together for warmth, and still you wake with frost on your skin, with your fingers so numb you cannot feel them. You are sent out into the mountains in nothing but a thin tunic, and you are told to survive. This is the winter training. This is when Sparta learns which boys have the will to endure, and which boys will simply lie down and freeze. You walk for hours through the snow, your feet raw and bleeding, your breath coming in ragged gasps. You are not allowed to stop. You are not allowed to complain. You are not allowed to show that you are suffering. Because suffering is expected. Suffering is the baseline. One boy falls behind. He is small, always has been, and the cold has taken him faster than the rest. He stumbles. He falls. He does not get up. The Irene turns back and looks at him. He does not help him. He does not offer a hand. He simply says, "If you stay down, you will die. If you die, you were always going to." The boy tries to stand. His legs shake. He falls again. The Irene walks away. The rest of you walk away. You do not look back. You cannot. Because if you look back, you will see yourself. You will see how close you are to being him, and that knowledge will break you. You survive the winter. Not all of the boys do. When spring comes, there are fewer of you. The barracks feel emptier. No, one speaks about the ones who are gone. Their reeds are taken up. Their spaces are filled. It is as if they never existed. Because in Sparta, if you do not survive, you are never real. You are 10, and they teach you about shame. Not the shame of failure. You already know that. They teach you the shame of exposure, of vulnerability, of being seen as weak. You are made to stand naked in front of the other boys while the Irene catalogues every flaw, every softness, every imperfection. Your ribs are too visible. Your legs are too thin. Your hands are too small. He does not say these things to hurt you. He says them because they are true. And truth, in Sparta, is a weapon. You learn to harden yourself against words the way you hardened yourself against pain. You learn that shame is only powerful if you let it in. You learn to stand there, exposed, judged, mocked, and feel nothing. Because if you feel nothing, they cannot break you. But some boys cannot learn this. Some boys crumble under the weight of shame, under the constant exposure, the constant judgment. One boy, a year older than you, walks into the mountains one night and does not come back. They find him 3 days later at the base of a cliff. The Irene tells you it was an accident. You know it was not. You are also taught to shame others. to find weakness and exploit it, to use words like knives. This is part of the training, part of the education. Because in battle, you will need to break the enemy's will before you break their body. You will need to make them doubt, to make them hesitate, to make them afraid. And you cannot do that if you are soft. So you learn to be cruel. You learn to find the thing that hurts the most and press on it until something breaks. You become good at it. Too good. And late at night, when the barracks are silent and you are alone with your thoughts, you wonder what is being carved away. You wonder what will be left when they are done with you. You wonder if there will be anything at all. You are 11, and they give you your first real weapon, not a wooden practice sword, a real Xenophon, short and sharp and heavy in your hand. The balance is different. The weight is different. This is not a toy. This is a tool for killing, and they expect you to use it. You are taken to a field outside the city where helots work the land. You are told that these people are not citizens. They are not Spartans. They are property, and property can be disposed of. You are told that you will practice on them, not to kill, not yet, but to wound. To learn how a blade feels when it cuts through skin, through muscle, through the resistance of a living body. You are 11 years old, and they are asking you to hurt someone who has done nothing to you. The helot they bring forward is old, his back bent from years of labour. He does not struggle. He does not beg. He knows what is coming. He has seen it before. He simply kneels in the dirt and waits. Your Irene hands you the Xenophon and steps back. The other boys are watching. You are being tested. You look at the blade. You look at the man. Your hand is shaking, not from fear, from something else, something you do not have a name for. The Irene sees the hesitation. He steps forward, his voice low and cold. If you cannot do this, you are not Spartan. If you are not Spartan, you are nothing. You close your eyes. You breathe. You open your eyes, and the shaking stops. You step forward and press the blade against the man's shoulder. Not deep, just enough to draw blood, just enough to prove you can. The man does not scream. He does not flinch. He simply bleeds. And you step back, and your hand is steady, and something inside you goes quiet. The Irene nods. You have passed. But that night, alone in the dark, you cannot sleep. You keep seeing the man's face. You keep feeling the resistance of the blade. You keep wondering when you stopped being a child and became this. You do not know the answer. Maybe there is no answer. Maybe this is just what Sparta does. It takes boys and turns them into something else, something harder, something colder, something that can kill without hesitation. You are 11 years old, and you have already learned the most important lesson of all. You are not a person. You are a weapon, and weapons do not feel. You are 12, and the training intensifies. You are no longer learning the basics. You are being refined, sharpened, perfected. You run for miles every day, your feet bleeding through your sandals, your lungs burning, and you do not stop. You fight until your hands are too swollen to make fists. You train with the spear, with the shield, with the Xenophon, until the movements are not thoughts but reflexes, until your body knows what to do before your mind does. You are also taught to endure without food. They stop feeding you for days at a time, and you are expected to continue training as if nothing has changed. Your stomach cramps. Your vision blurs. You feel the strength draining from your limbs, but you do not stop, because stopping is failure, and failure is death. One boy collapses during a run. He simply falls forward into the dirt and does not get up. The Irene walks over to him, looks down, and shakes his head. He leaves him there. Hours later, when the boy finally wakes, he is told that he has been marked. 3 marks, and you are expelled from the Agoge. Expelled means you will never be a citizen. You will never have rights. You will live on the margins of society, shamed and forgotten. The boy has 1 mark now. He has 2 chances left. You watch him after that. He trains harder than anyone. He pushes himself past the point of collapse, past the point of reason, because he knows what is waiting if he fails. And you understand. You are all 1 mistake away from being nothing, 1 moment of weakness away from losing everything. So you do not allow yourself to be weak. You do not allow yourself to fail. You become a machine, predictable, reliable, unbreakable. But machines do not dream, and you still dream. You dream of your mother. You dream of warmth. You dream of a life where you are not constantly in pain, constantly afraid, constantly 1 step away from oblivion. But when you wake, you push the dreams down. You bury them. Because dreams are a luxury, and Sparta does not deal in luxuries. You are 13, and they tell you about the crypteia. It is spoken of in whispers, in the dark, in the moments when the Irene is not listening. The older boys talk about it with a mix of dread and anticipation. It is the final test before you are fully accepted. It is the night that separates the warriors from the boys. And it is coming for you. The crypteia is a hunt, but you are not hunting animals, you are hunting helots, the slave population that works the fields, that serves the city, that outnumbers Spartans 10 to 1. They are a constant threat, a potential uprising waiting to happen. And so, once a year, Sparta culls them. And you are the tool they use. You are given a knife. You are stripped of your tunic. You are sent into the night, alone, and you are told to kill. Not everyone, just the strong ones. The ones who look like they might be trouble, the ones who might inspire others, the ones who might lead a rebellion. You are told to be silent, to be invisible, to strike and vanish like a ghost. And you are told that if you are caught, Sparta will deny you. You will be on your own. You move through the darkness, your heart pounding so loud you are certain everyone can hear it. You have been taught to move silently, to control your breathing, to become part of the shadows. But this is different. This is not training. This is real. The knife in your hand is real. The blood that will come is real. You find him near a small fire, an older helot with strong arms and a hard face. He is awake, staring into the flames, and you wonder if he knows, if he senses what is coming. You wait. You watch. You calculate the distance, the angle, the strike, and then you move. It is faster than you thought it would be, quieter. The knife goes in just below the ribs, angled upward, and the man gasps, his eyes going wide. You hold him as he dies, your hand over his mouth, and you feel his life drain away. It takes longer than you expected, longer than the Irene said it would. And when it is over, when his body goes slack and his eyes go empty, you lower him to the ground and step back. You are 13 years old, and you have just killed a man. You do not feel what you thought you would feel. You do not feel proud. You do not feel strong. You feel nothing. Just a cold, empty space where something used to be. You wipe the blade on the grass and disappear back into the night. When you return at dawn, the Irene is waiting. He sees the blood on your hands. He nods. You have passed. But that night, and every night after, you see the man's face. You see his eyes. And you wonder if this is what it means, to be Spartan, to carry the weight of every life you take, to become a graveyard. You are 14, and you begin training with the phalanx. This is the core of Spartan warfare, the formation that has made Sparta the most feared military power in Greece. You are given a shield, an aspis, round and heavy, and painted with the lambda symbol of Lacedaemon. You are taught that this shield does not belong to you. It belongs to the man on your left. You hold it to protect him, not yourself. Your right side is exposed, vulnerable, and you must trust that the man on your right will protect you. This is the essence of Sparta. Not individual glory, not personal strength, trust, cohesion, unity. If you appreciate stories like this, stories that dig into the raw, unfiltered truth of history, then consider subscribing to Not Nostalgic History. We don't sugarcoat the past. We don't turn it into myth. We show you what it cost, what it took, what it meant to live in worlds that demanded everything and gave back only survival. You train in the phalanx for hours every day. You learn to move as one, to breathe as one, to advance and retreat in perfect synchronization. If one man breaks formation, the entire line collapses. If one man runs, everyone dies. You are taught that your fear does not matter. Your pain does not matter. Your life does not matter. Only the line matters. Only Sparta matters. You are also taught the mechanics of killing in formation. The spear, the dory, is your primary weapon. 8 feet long, tipped with bronze, heavy enough to punch through armor. You learn to thrust in rhythm with the man beside you, to aim for the throat, the groin, the gap between the armor plates. You learn that war is not glorious. It is methodical. It is brutal. It is standing in a line with men screaming and dying on both sides and holding your position no matter what. One day, during training, a boy breaks. He is 15, older than you, stronger than you, but something inside him snaps. He throws down his shield and runs. The Irene does not chase him. He simply watches. The boy makes it to the edge of the field before he stops, realizes what he has done, and falls to his knees. The Irene walks over to him, slow and deliberate, and speaks loud enough for everyone to hear. You have abandoned your brothers. You have broken the line. In battle, this would mean death for everyone. Here, it means you are nothing. The boy is expelled. You never see him again. And you learn the final lesson of the phalanx. You can survive anything except cowardice. Cowardice is the one unforgivable sin, because cowardice kills everyone. You are 15 and you are introduced to the syssitia, the communal meals that you will share with your brothers for the rest of your life. This is not a celebration. This is not a feast. This is a daily ritual of survival. You sit in a circle with 14 other men and you eat the black broth, the melazomos, a foul mixture of pork, blood, salt, and vinegar that tastes like death but keeps you alive. The syssitia is where you learn to be Spartan in a different way, not through pain, through belonging. These men are your brothers now. You will fight with them, bleed with them, die with them. You are bound together not by blood but by something stronger, by shared suffering, by the knowledge that you have all survived the same hell and come out the other side. But even here, there is judgment. Every man in the syssitia has a voice. Every man can vote. And if they do not want you, if they believe you are weak or unworthy or a liability, they can expel you. Even at 15, even after surviving 9 years of the Agoge, you can still be cast out. So you watch what you say, you watch how you act, you prove every single day that you deserve to be here. The conversations are not soft. They are brutal, honest, cutting. Men speak their minds without filter, and if you cannot handle criticism, you will not last. You are mocked. You are challenged. You are tested. And you must give as good as you get, because weakness, even verbal weakness, is still weakness. One night, an older man turns to you and asks, "What would you do if the phalanx broke and you were alone, surrounded by enemies?" You do not hesitate. "I would kill as many as I could before I died." He nods. "Good. But what if you could run? What if you could survive? You meet his eyes. I would not run. I would rather die than live with the shame. He smiles. It is the first time you have seen him smile. Then you are Spartan. You are 16, and it is time for the diamastigosis, the whipping ritual at the altar of Artemis Orthia. This is not punishment. This is honor. You will be whipped until you bleed, until your back is raw and torn, and you will stand there and endure it. The one who lasts the longest without crying out is celebrated. The one who dies without breaking is immortalized. You stand in line with the other boys, naked, waiting your turn. You can hear the crack of the whip, the wet sound of leather on flesh. You can smell the blood. The priests chant. The crowd watches in silence. This is sacred. This is tradition. This is Sparta. When your turn comes, you step forward and grip the stone altar. You do not close your eyes. You do not tense. You simply wait. The first strike comes, and it is fire. Pure, white-hot fire that sears across your back. The second strike crosses the first, and you feel the skin split. The third strike, and blood runs down your spine. You do not scream. You do not flinch. You breathe through it, the way you were taught, the way you have learned to breathe through everything. The whipping continues. 10 strikes, 20, 30. You lose count. Your vision blurs. Your legs shake. But you do not fall. You do not cry out. Because to cry out is to fail. And you have not come this far to fail now. When it is over, you are helped away from the altar. Your back is a ruin. You will carry the scars for the rest of your life. But you stood. You endured. And in Sparta, that is all that matters. You are 17 and you see battle for the first time, not as a boy, as a warrior. You march with the phalanx to the border, where an invading force from Argos has crossed into Spartan territory. You wear your bronze cuirass, your greaves, your helmet. You carry your shield on your left arm and your spear in your right hand. You are terrified. You are ready. The phalanx forms. Shields lock. Spears lower. The enemy is across the field, their own formation bristling with bronze and iron and hate. The two lines stare at each other, and for a moment the world is silent. Then the war cry erupts, and you charge. The collision is unlike anything you have ever experienced. Metal on metal, screaming. The crush of bodies pressing forward, pushing, shoving. You cannot see. You cannot think. You can only thrust your spear forward, again and again, feeling it hit flesh, hit bone, hit nothing. The man beside you falls, and another steps into his place. The line holds. The line must hold. You kill 3 men that day. You do not know their names. You do not see their faces. They are just shapes in the chaos, obstacles to be removed. One of them almost kills you. His spear glances off your shield and slices across your ribs. You feel the pain, distant and unreal, and you drive your own spear into his throat. He falls and you step over him and you keep moving. When the battle ends, the enemy retreats. You have won. But it does not feel like victory. It feels like survival. You look around at the field, at the bodies, at the blood soaking into the earth, and you realize that this is what you were made for. This is the purpose of everything you have endured. You are a weapon, and weapons are made to kill. You are 18, and you are assigned a mentor, an older warrior in his 20s, who will guide you through your final years of training. This relationship is not just educational. It is intimate. In Sparta, these bonds are expected, encouraged. They are believed to strengthen the phalanx, to create loyalty that goes beyond duty. You will fight harder for a lover than for a stranger. You will die for him. Your mentor's name is Aristodemus. He is a veteran of a dozen battles. his body a map of scars. He is hard, cold, efficient, but with you, he is different. He teaches you not just how to fight, but how to think, how to read the battlefield, how to anticipate the enemy's movements. He teaches you the philosophy of war, the balance between aggression and caution, between courage and recklessness. At night, in the quiet of the barracks, he talks to you about things no one else does, about fear, about doubt, about the weight of killing. He tells you that the Agoge does not make you fearless. It makes you functional despite fear. He tells you that every man in the phalanx is afraid, but they stand anyway. And that is what courage is. Not the absence of fear, the defiance of it. You grow close to him, closer than you have been to anyone since you left your mother's house. And when you march into battle together, you understand what the elders meant. You fight harder when he is beside you. You take risks you would not normally take to protect him. And when an enemy spear gets past his shield and pierces his thigh, you kill the man who threw it with a fury you did not know you possessed. Aristodemus survives, but the wound is deep, and he will walk with a limp for the rest of his life. He tells you that this is the price of war. Everyone pays it eventually. Some pay with their lives, some pay with their bodies, some pay with their souls. But everyone pays. You are 19, and the Agoge is almost over. You have survived 13 years of pain, starvation, cold, and violence. You have killed. You have bled. You have become exactly what Sparta wanted you to become. But you are not done yet. You still have one final test. You must prove that you are worthy to join the Syssitia permanently. You must prove that you are not just a warrior, but a citizen. You are judged by the men who will be your brothers for life. They watch you train. They watch you fight. They watch how you conduct yourself, how you speak, how you treat others, and then they vote. If even one man votes against you, you are rejected. You will not be a full citizen. You will not have political rights. You will be a lesser class, forever marked as insufficient. The night of the vote you cannot sleep. You lie in the barracks staring at the ceiling, and you think about everything you have endured. 13 years of suffering, 13 years of sacrifice, and it could all be for nothing. One vote, one man who decides you are not worthy, and everything you have done, everything you have become, will be meaningless. The vote takes place at dawn. You stand outside the mess hall waiting. The other boys your age stand with you, silent and tense. One by one you are called inside. One by one you face the judgment of your brothers. When your turn comes, you step into the hall and 14 pairs of eyes fix on you. No one speaks. They simply place their votes, small stones dropped into a jar, white for acceptance, black for rejection. The stones are counted, all white. You have been accepted. You are Spartan. The relief is overwhelming. You feel your knees weaken, feel the weight of 13 years lift from your shoulders. But you do not cry. You do not smile. You simply nod, and you take your place at the table. Because this is not the end. This is the beginning. You are 19 years old, and you are finally a man. But in Sparta, being a man means you are ready to die. You are 23, and you have fought in 8 battles. You have killed more men than you can count. You have seen friends die, brothers cut down in the chaos of the phalanx, their screams lost in the roar of combat. You have learned that war is not what the poets say it is. It is not glory. It is not honor. It is blood and shit and terror, and the only thing that keeps you standing is the man beside you. You have also learned that Sparta is not invincible. You have seen the phalanx break. You have seen men run. You have seen battles lost, retreats called, defeats that no one speaks of afterward. because Sparta does not admit weakness. Sparta does not acknowledge failure, and so the losses are buried, forgotten, erased from history. But you remember, you carry them with you. One battle against the Tegeans stays with you. The enemy broke through the line, and for a moment everything was chaos. You were separated from your unit, surrounded by enemy warriors, and you thought you were going to die. You fought like an animal, no technique, no strategy, just pure survival instinct. You killed 2 men and wounded a third before your brothers reached you and pulled you back into formation. That night, in the Syssitia, no one spoke of it. No one acknowledged how close the line came to collapsing, because to speak of it would be to admit that Sparta is fallible, and Sparta cannot be fallible. You begin to see the cracks in the system, the way Sparta sacrifices everything for military strength, but neglects everything else. The city has no walls, no wealth, no art, no philosophy, just war. And you begin to wonder what happens when the wars end. What happens when there is no enemy left to fight? What will Sparta become then? But you do not voice these thoughts. To question Sparta is to question everything you are, everything you have become, and you cannot afford to doubt, because doubt is weakness, and you have come too far to be weak now. You are 28, and you are a decorated warrior. You have survived more battles than most men ever see. You have earned respect, honor, a place in the Syssitia that no one can take from you. But you have also lost something, something you cannot name, something that was carved away piece by piece during the Agoge, during the years of pain and cold and hunger. Something that you did not even realize was gone until you try to find it again. You see it when you go home. You are allowed to visit your family now, to see your mother, your father. But when you stand in front of them, you realize you have nothing to say. They are strangers. You left when you were 7, and you came back a different person. Not better, not worse, just different. Your mother looks at you with tears in her eyes, and you feel nothing. You try to remember what it was like to be her son, but the memory is gone. It was taken from you, or you gave it away. You are not sure which. You also see it in the way you cannot connect with people outside the phalanx. Civilian life feels alien, incomprehensible. People talk about trivial things, about harvests and trade and family matters, and you cannot bring yourself to care. Because you have seen what matters. You have seen men die for a few feet of ground. You have seen the world reduced to its most basic truth: survive or perish. Everything else is just noise. You wonder sometimes what you would have been if you had not been born in Sparta. If you had been born in Athens or Corinth or Thebes. Would you have been a farmer? A merchant? A philosopher? Would you have had a wife, children, a life that was yours? But you push the thoughts away, because they are dangerous, because they make you question the only thing you have, your identity as a Spartan. And if you are not Spartan, you are nothing. You are 35, and you are too old to fight in the front lines of the phalanx. Your body has begun to betray you. Old wounds ache in the cold. Your knees hurt when you run. Your reflexes are slower, just a fraction of a second, but in battle, a fraction of a second is the difference between life and death. So you are rotated to the reserves and then to the instructors. You are sent back to the Agoge, but this time as an Irene, as the man who will train the next generation. You look at the boys who arrive at 7 years old, wide-eyed and terrified, and you see yourself. You see the innocence that will be stripped away. You see the softness that will be beaten out of them. You see the children they are, and you know what they will become. And for the first time in your life, you feel something close to pity. But you do not go easy on them. You cannot, because if you do, they will die. If you soften them, If you let them keep their weakness, the battlefield will destroy them. So you do to them what was done to you. You starve them, you beat them, you break them down and rebuild them into weapons, and you tell yourself that this is necessary, that this is the only way, that Sparta demands it. But at night, when you are alone, you wonder if it is worth it. You wonder if creating warriors is worth destroying children. You wonder if Sparta is strong because of the Agoge, or if Sparta is simply surviving in spite of it. But you do not speak these thoughts aloud, because to speak them would be treason, and treason is death. You are 58, and you have been elected to the Gerousia, the council of elders that governs Sparta. You are one of the 28 men who make the decisions, who judge the infants, who shape policy, who decide what Sparta will become. You have earned this position through years of service, through survival, through proving again and again that you are worthy. But now that you are here, you see the truth. Sparta is dying, not quickly, not obviously, but slowly, inevitably. The population is shrinking. Fewer boys survive the Agoge each year. Fewer men return from battle. The Helot population grows, and with it, the threat of rebellion. Other city-states are rising, adopting new tactics, new strategies, while Sparta clings to the old ways. The phalanx is still formidable, but it is no longer unbeatable. And Sparta, rigid and unchanging, does not know how to adapt. You see it in the faces of the other elders. Men who have given everything to Sparta, who have sacrificed their youth, their health, their humanity, and for what? For a city that is slowly crumbling, that is being left behind by history. You see it in the empty barracks, in the fields that are no longer worked, in the silence where there used to be laughter and life. You try to suggest reforms, softer training, more incentives for citizenship, alliances with other city-states, but you are shouted down. The old men will not hear it. Sparta has always been this way, they say. Sparta has always survived. To change is to admit weakness, and Sparta does not admit weakness. So you stop suggesting, you stop fighting, you simply sit in the council and vote the way you have always voted, and you watch as Sparta slowly dies. And you wonder if this is the fate of all things that refuse to change, to become relics. Monuments to a past that can never return. You are 71 and you are dying. Your body, broken by decades of war and hardship, is finally giving out. You lie in your home, surrounded by the few possessions Sparta allows, and you think about your life, about what you were, about what you became, about what it cost. You think about the boy you were at 7, the child who was taken from his mother and turned into a weapon. You wonder what he would think of you now. Would he be proud? Would he understand? Or would he be horrified by what he became? You think about the men you killed, the helots during the Cryptia, the enemies on the battlefield. You stopped counting after 100. They blur together now, a mass of faces and screams and blood. You tell yourself they were necessary, that you were defending Sparta, that you were doing your duty, but you do not know if you believe it anymore. You think about your friends, your brothers in the phalanx. Most of them are dead, killed in battle, or by age, or by the slow erosion of a life lived too hard. You are one of the last, and soon you will join them, and when you do, who will remember? Who will mourn? Sparta does not mourn individuals. Sparta only mourns the loss of warriors, and you are just one warrior among thousands. You think about what you gave up: family, love, choice, yourself. You gave everything to Sparta, and in return, Sparta gave you purpose, identity, a place in history. But was it worth it? Was it worth losing yourself to become part of something larger? You do not know. You will never know. Your mother visits you, though she is old now, bent and fragile. She sits beside your bed and holds your hand, and for the first time since you were 7, you let yourself cry. Not for the pain, not for the fear of death, but for the boy you were, the boy who never got to grow up, the boy who was sacrificed so that Sparta could survive. She does not tell you it was worth it. She does not tell you that you did the right thing. She simply holds your hand and says, "You survived. That is enough." And maybe it is. Maybe survival is all there ever was. Maybe Sparta did not make you strong. Maybe it just made you strong enough to endure. And maybe that was always the point. You die 3 days later. Your body is burned, as is Spartan custom, and your ashes are scattered in the hills above the city. There is no grand funeral, no monument, no inscription. Spartans do not celebrate the dead. They celebrate the living, the ones who are still fighting, still holding the line. You are simply gone, and the world moves on without you. But your story does not end with your death, because you are not just one man. You are every man who survived the Agoge. You are every boy who was taken from his family and turned into a weapon. You are every warrior who stood in the phalanx and held the line even when everything inside him screamed to run. You are Sparta. And Sparta, for better or worse, will be remembered. History will remember the battles, the glory, the legend, but it will not remember the cost. It will not remember the boys who died in the cold, the men who broke under the weight of shame, the warriors who survived the battlefield only to lose themselves in the aftermath. It will not remember you, but you remember. Even in death, you remember, because memory is the only thing they could not take from you, the only thing that remained yours, even when everything else belonged to Sparta. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all anyone can ask for. To be remembered, even if only by yourself. You were 7 days old when they decided you were worthy to live. You were 7 years old when they took you away. You were 13 when you killed your first man. You were 19 when you became a citizen. You were 71 when you died. And in all those years, you were never free. You were never soft. You were never allowed to be anything but Spartan. And maybe that is the greatest tragedy of all. Not that you suffered, not that you died, but that you were never allowed to be human. You were a weapon from the moment you were born, and weapons do not get to choose their purpose. They do not get to question. They do not get to dream. They simply do what they were made to do. And then they break. This was Sparta. This was the Agoge. This was the price of being the greatest warriors the world had ever seen. And the question that remains, the question that history has never been able to answer, is simple. Was it worth it? You cannot answer. You are dead. But your story lives on. And maybe that is answer enough. Maybe the fact that we still talk about Sparta, still remember the warriors, still stand in awe of what they accomplished, means that the sacrifice was not in vain. Or maybe it just means that we are fascinated by suffering, by people who endured the unendurable, by the brutal machinery that takes children and turns them into legends. Sparta fell eventually. The phalanx broke, the system collapsed, and the world moved on. But the memory remains, the story remains, and as long as we tell it, as long as we remember what they endured, what they sacrificed, what they became, then maybe, in some small way, they live on. You were a Spartan. You survived the Agoge. You held the line. You gave everything. And this is your story. Not the sanitized version, not the myth, the truth, raw and brutal and human. This is what it cost to be Sparta. And now you know.